Hey, this is Pete from Strymon. I'm here with our new Compadre dual voice compressor and boost. Compadre is a front of signal chain, always on type of pedal that gives some very transparent and smooth compression, along with an independent boost circuit that has some different EQ options and dirty and clean variability as well. In designing Compadre, we wanted to expand upon the capabilities of our OB1 compressor, and that served as a sonic inspiration for us to begin the process. So the two types of compression are studio and squeeze. And the studio is based on the very transparent compression familiar to users of the OB1 and to other optical style circuits. It's a type of compression that you don't appreciate how much it's doing until you actually bypass the circuit. The squeeze mode is based on some of the old vintage compressors where the compression was really a bit of an effect. It had a very long sustained, very high compression ratio, and we wanted to take a modern look at that as well. The boost side of Compadre has three different boost equalizations that allow it to be very versatile and flexible depending on the type of sounds you're trying to achieve and the type of amp or rig you're playing into. The flat boost is a wide bandwidth boost that just boosts the entire signal into your amp. The mid boost is a mid-range focused boost, which is really good for pushing an amp that's already on the verge of being overdriven. And then the treble boost is to really push the high frequencies and really will tighten up a bass heavy amp as well. The signal path in Compadre is fully analog under digital control. The input goes into a discrete JFET front end and then into the VCA controlled compression circuit and then into the boost circuit. The digital control allows Compadre to respond to MIDI program changes. 300 presets can be stored and recalled with a MIDI switching system, or with our Multi-Switch Plus, you can recall 3 favorite settings instantly. So let's take a look at the compression section. We're running Compadre into Iridium, straight into the computer interface. Here's the bypass sound. We're going through the round amp in Iridium with cab A, all knobs at 12 o'clock. Let's engage Compadre. Compression is something that is really more easily felt than heard. Under your fingertips, it really can make a dramatic difference. In these videos, the difference may not seem too apparent, but that's why I'm going to be talking about it as well as playing. The compression has 3 controls. The first control, compression, it varies the threshold above which the signal is compressed. So as you turn that up, more and more of the signal gets compressed. And as you turn it back at minimum, there's no signal compressed. So at minimum, this is just basically a straight buffer. I turn it up. Now, by bringing the threshold down, more of the guitar signal will be in the area that's compressed. And as we turn it up, more of the signal gets compressed. That means more sustain from our guitar signal. So what compression does is it reduces the dynamic range of a signal. And that might sound like something that you wouldn't want to do, but the way it does that is by it essentially tames the higher portion of the signal to have less gain, and then you make that up by increasing the entire gain of the signal so that at those strong attacks you can get a unity gain, but then as the signal decays, the signal actually effectively becomes louder than it was. So the result is you end up with more sustain on the signal. So I'll demonstrate that by showing, depending on how hard you're playing, the effect of whether it sounds like the signal is being boosted or not will change. So if I play hard and then engage the compressor, it sounds pretty close to unity gain. Let's say it sounded a little bit louder, so we turn the level back. So it sounds like that's pretty close to just a unity gain. But if I play softly, There's a big difference in the perceived level at the lower volume. So what that is doing essentially is making the lower level signals louder. But of course, it does this dynamically, and that's how a compressor works, is to essentially give you more sustain. Kind of gives you a feeling under your fingers that it's a little easier to play, that the response is a little fatter. It's just a little more enjoyable and just kind of evens out the dynamics and kind of puts a little bit of a finishing touch on things. The second knob on the compressor side is the level control, which works as just an output level for the entire system. So louder, softer, and that allows you to, depending on your compression setting and the dry control, which we'll talk about in a sec, set a level where you can achieve a unity gain or a boost, at various levels. The dry control is a blend that blends in the dry signal, and that is a really nice control to really define the attack of your signal. The compression can sound more pronounced with the dry level off because you're just essentially using the full compression circuit on the attack of your signal, and the response of the attack can come into play in terms of how it feels. But you can kind of minimize that and make it more transparent by bringing some of that dry signal or all of it back into the circuit. So let's check out the difference there. We've got a fair amount of compression on here with no dry signal blended in. If we bring in the dry signal, and I can definitely feel under my fingers that the attack is a little more immediate there because it's coming from the direct dry signal. I'll turn it all the way up. So now you get the natural attack of your guitar, but still benefit from the extra sustain from the compression. For the squeeze mode, the thresholds are brought much lower, which means more of the signal gets compressed, and the compression ratio and dynamics are tuned up to allow for very large amounts of sustain and compression. What can be difficult in creating very high levels of sustain and compression is trying to create a smooth decay. Many times what happens is something called pumping, where as you sustain a chord, you'll hear the volume level kind of vary up and down as the envelope essentially is changing the compression amount. So we spend a lot of time to try to make the squeeze mode to be as smooth a decay as possible in a very natural way, but still with a very large amount of sustain. So let's go to squeeze mode here. So with the compression knob at about 12 o'clock here. So a very, very long sustain happening there, but it was also very, very smooth and nicely controlled. It can be a lot of fun in this mode if you're playing some single note lines to really allow the notes to ring out, because they almost give you the sensation of acoustic feedback, like when you're standing in front of a guitar cabinet. And again, with these high levels of sustain, the amount of natural attack is controlled by the dry level as well, with no dry level mixed in here. You get kind of a soft attack, which is nice, as the compression is basically transitioning from no signal to signal. But if you're looking for something that's got a little more of your original attack in there, so there you've got really tremendous amount of sustain, but a nice natural attack as well. Because the thresholds and dynamics of the squeeze and studio are different, you can really kind of choose the experience for you. Like, we can be in squeeze mode, but with little compression. And again, with it at zero, there's no compression. So you can dial in a little bit of compression in squeeze mode, and you'll still get a response that's a little more kind of compressed and noticeable. So if studio mode was too subtle for an application for you, you can go to squeeze mode and dial back the compression, and that would also give you more of a sensation of compression, but not at wild, amounts. So there's still a lot of compression there, but with it rolled back, it doesn't seem in your face in a sense, but it gives you a nice, satisfying sensation of the compression. If I go back to the studio mode and turn up the compression, it's still, because of the threshold, the sensation of compression is less. So the studio mode is really for when you're looking for the most natural sensation of compression, and squeeze mode is when you're looking for something that is more apparently compressed to you, but with the compression range, you can go pretty far in each direction. And the range of the level knob is such that you can get a boost out of the compression side of Compadre on its own just by turning that level up. So even with compression off, the compressor and boost can be used independently or together. Since I like the Compadre compression, I'm going to keep it on here just to as a baseline. And now we'll add the boost. The boost has a maximum boost of 14 dB at its highest setting. What's happening now, going into Iridium's round amp with the knob at noon, the round amp is just on the verge of breaking up. So when I apply the boost, the signal gets louder, but also you hear a little bit more of harmonics, which I think is one of the great uses for a boost like this. If I turn the drive on Iridium down, then we'll hear just the difference in clean level from the boost. The mid boost boosts the mid portion of the signal so that the lows and the highs are attenuated, and that's really great for pushing an amp that's already on the verge of breakup or tightening up a bassy signal. So let's check that out. Another example of how the mid can really push an amp that's at the verge of overdrive. We'll use the punch amplifier and set it up with a little bit of gain. And here's what we got without the mid boost. Now by pushing the mid boost, so there I've turned down the mids on the punch amp to create a bit of a scoop, but pushing the front end of the amp with the mid boost so it can really become an effective kind of a drive pedal for you in that situation. To demonstrate the treble boost, we've switched to a Les Paul here to show how for systems that are really bass heavy, like the neck pickup of this Les Paul through the punch amp is going to have a lot of low end, and using the treble booster can really tighten that up. So here's the signal without the treble boost on. The idea of the boost circuit is that it's tuned for many different situations, and for a given guitar and amp setup, you'll be able to find the right EQ voice that's really going to work for your needs. Compadre also has a dirty boost, which adds some clipping elements in the boost path. This gives you another set of 3 flavors to work with to add a little more dirt before going into the amplifier or next stage. So we're back to the round amp here in cab C with the knobs at noon on Iridium. And now we'll engage the flat boost. The EQ curves are the same between the dirty boost or the clean boost, so this is the same mid-boost curve with the dirty boost clipping going on. Let's go to the treble boost. So the boost level control controls the signal going into the boost circuit. So when we're in dirty boost, as we turn the boost level control up, we're driving the dirty boost harder. Now the topology of the dirty boost is somewhat similar to a tube screamer type soft clipping circuit, except without the associated EQ. The EQ is determined by the 3 types of boost EQ. What that means is as you turn the boost level up, the unclipped portion of the circuit will continue to get a bit louder, but the clipped portion becomes more clipped in a sense. So let's just see what that sounds like as I vary the boost knob. So here at low boost levels, we've set it so that it'll start to clip at fairly low levels so that you'll be able to dial that in as you'd like. So as I turn it up, it's not getting that much louder, but it is getting more clipped, and the kind of dynamic portion of the signal is coming up as well. Compadre has a volume jack on the back that allows you to plug in any TRS expression pedal, and there's a separate VCA in Compadre that will allow Compadre to act as a high-quality analog volume pedal controlled from that expression pedal as well. We designed Compadre to really be, a crucial element of the front end of your signal chain, something that you can leave always on and have a variety of, flexible features to allow you to integrate in your system in various ways with volume pedal and preset capability and EQ voiced boosts that can be clean or dirty, a couple of great compression modes, just something that we think, you can find a lot of different uses for.